I remember this one day I'd just woken up, but it wasn't like any normal day. I got up late and I skipped my daily cold shower, and I immediately hopped onto my computer to do something that I would soon regret. This morning I was meant to script one video and finish editing another two, but instead I got onto my computer, I go into the little Windows section at the bottom left, and I type in EPIC space GAME. And I open it. But before I know it, 30 minutes go by, 1 hour goes by, 2 hours go by, and I'm getting sick and tired of playing just the same game over and over and over again. So instead of getting off the game, I decided to just switch game modes, and I ended up playing for an extra hour. These same 3 hours could have been used to finish scripting my video and finish editing the other two videos, but instead I just wasted it playing video games. So when it hit me like that, I immediately closed the game, grabbed my towel, grabbed my clothes, took a cold shower and just went to the gym, and I had a pretty decent workout. And the moral of the story, or what the story really told me, was that even though I was doing these bad habits, I still had all my mentalities, and that meant that I actually was able to get back into my good habits so much easier than compared to if I just never had these mindsets and my past experiences. Because for example, I knew that I was in a rut. I knew that this thing exists. If you get in a rut, it's not like you get into a rut and then you lose like all your progress or self-improvement. For example, let's say I've been meditating, or you've been meditating for like every single day for the past year. Let's just say that as an example. It's not like if you don't meditate for 4 weeks, your progress is going to be completely gone. Like obviously, let's say you build up this progress throughout the whole year, but it's going to like dip down like a little bit, and then eventually when you get out of this rut, it's just going to keep going up. It kind of goes like that. Almost like a Z, if that makes sense. But it doesn't mean like you lose all your progress. And because I had that mindset, I thought to myself, I didn't just kind of belittle myself and destroy myself, thinking like, oh, I'm falling off self-improvement, I'm going back to my old habits. I would have just probably settled in my old habits and just created that identity and stuck to that identity of me just saying these bad habits and almost falling off self-improvement. Instead, I knew that I was in this rut, so therefore I was able to get out easier. But just as a clear example, the story that I told you at the beginning, I went to the gym because I actually enjoy going to the gym, and I know at the gym that if I just push to failure and I get my muscles completely destroyed, I'm gonna build muscles. And that's, I don't know why, but you probably feel the same too. I feel the same, where whenever I'm just pushing hard at the gym and you just have some like music that you really like. For example, I really listen to like some Spanish rap, just white girl music, I'm gonna admit. Like, you know, that kind of good music that makes you like just hyped. Like when you push into failure, it just makes you feel good. So because I had that mindset, it made me not skip the gym. And this is gonna sound weird, but I'm actually grateful that I went through that rut. Even though obviously, yeah, my progress kind of did go down a little bit, and my channel did go down as well with it. I did learn 3 powerful lessons, mindset, experiences, whatever you want to call them, that I think will be valuable for me to share them to you. So yeah. You know, as I was scripting this video, I thought to myself, even though I fell into this mini rut where I was playing video games, I was eating a little bit of junk food, I wasn't really on my best self-improvement. It reminded me that some people just, this is their normal life. Like when I fell into this rut, I almost felt like, yeah, this isn't really me. For example, let's say you fall into a rut. You're gonna think like, oh, this is weird, this isn't really me. It's just like, you kind of do the bad habits because they just kind of feel good. But it's not like really you. You have this resistance towards them. For some people, their life is just the bad habits, like their identity is just the bad habits, because, or for example, they don't know about self-improvement, or they just tried it, they don't like it. Like it's just crazy to me that some people just kind of live in comfort and don't really try to do anything. Like I know you probably hear this from like every single, like, oh yeah, there's beta males, 90% of the world is horrible, whatever. But like when you really think about it, imagine, like, I know there's like a silly number, like saying 99% of the world, they just, people just say that because it just sounds nice, but let's just say 90% of the world. I know it's like probably not accurate, but whatever, let's just use it as an example. Imagine 90% of the world. So we have 8 billion people, let's just say that's around 6 billion. I know it's probably not correct, whatever, but let's just say around 6 billion. Visualize 6 billion people who have tried to be on self-improvement, who are just trying to improve, but their basic life is just kind of consuming, not really trying to improve, eating junk food, playing video games, staying in comfort, not really building anything. And this is the worst part that I felt in this world, that every single day I just wasn't building anything. I wasn't creating anything. I wasn't like making any progress towards my goals. And that made me feel so weird, like in just in this weird, like, I don't know how you explain it, just makes you feel so bad. Because, for example, when you finish going to the gym, you feel like good, you feel amazing, you feel accomplished, don't you? And that's the only thing that really kept me going. Like, the thing is that now that you have like this new paradigm of self-improvement, like you know that this thing exists, whenever you do bad habits, you kind of feel a little bit bad. Like, you know they're bad, so whenever you kind of regret doing them, obviously. But literally every single day I would just wake up a little bit late, basically run late to school, and then even at school, I'll be not as confident because I knew that day I didn't wake up and record the video that I said I will. Then I got back home, I went to the gym. Then when I came back from the gym, I'll just watch videos, play some video games, and just went to sleep. I wasn't doing anything, and frankly, I deserved the fact that I wasn't feeling as confident in school. And one mindset that I've been hearing from successful people around, but it really hit me this one day, was that you basically deserve everything that happens in your life. I know it sounds like really harsh, but it's just beneficial for you to have this mindset that this is what I learned. For example, I remember, I'm just gonna tell you this little like context before I tell you the story. Iman Gadzhi, I was watching one of his videos on like 6-7 good habits of successful people, something like that, right? He wasn't really making much money. He was like blaming the world, like obviously like most like beginner entrepreneurs do normally. They just kind of blame other stuff instead of themselves. But when he got this lesson that, oh, actually what happens to me is my fault and I actually have control over my life, that means that I can actually change it. And whenever he had that mindset that everything that happens to him is actually his fault, 6 months later he was making 15k per month. But anyway, the story was that I remember I was doing pool at the gym, right? And I saw this girl, and for some reason it just felt like I've seen her before. When I look back at it, I'd probably never seen her before, but she just looked familiar for some reason. I don't know why, but she looked familiar, and I wanted to like go up to speak to her, just like to up my confidence, make the gym a little bit more fun, whatever. But the problem was that I was in this rut. While I was at the gym, I was just thinking about speaking to her. I was doing the bicep cable, then I was doing the preacher curl bicep, I think it's called. I was doing some pull-ups, and I still didn't speak to her. And some other guy was speaking to her. And because I just didn't have the confidence that I usually did, because that day was the same day where I woke up late and I played video games and then I went to the gym, I didn't really have anything to back my confidence. And that day could have been so much more fun, interesting, memorable, and it could have made me an experience just speaking to that girl, because I can like speak to people. I've been reading how to impress and influence people, like having some social skills. I could have just spoke to her, ask her a question, like just ask her what was she doing, just like kind of laugh with her a little bit and whatever, just like make the gym even more interesting. But I didn't. Some other guy spoke to her and then I was too shy because I just felt like a rat, if I'm being completely. That's the only way I can really explain it. Like, I just woke up late, I just didn't feel like my best. And therefore I didn't speak to her, and therefore I didn't gain that experience. And the lesson that I've learned, that really I've been hearing from all these successful entrepreneurs, but this is the day that it really hit me, was that everything that happens in your life is your fault. And I know it sounds harsh and whatever, but it's actually good. Think about the fact that everything that happens to you is in your control. So that means you are in control of your actions. So if you can control your actions, that means you can control your world. You can see this in like many entrepreneurs. They always tell you like, oh, they start from zero to hero. They went from making per month, going from government welfare to making over 100k per month. That means that you literally have full control over your life. This is what I've learned. This is what I kind of want to share with you. That having this mindset that everything is your fault. You know, this one day I was walking to get my haircut. It was just literally yesterday. I was walking to get my haircut and it was like raining. It was kind of cold. And I was walking to a hotel where my friend lives, and you could like go in there and he's gonna cut my hair basically. There's way too much context, but that's kind of basically what you need to know. But I didn't have any data, and I had to walk to like a few I had to walk like basically like 200 meters to this other store that did have internet. And I was so angry at the world. I was blaming my parents, I was blaming my phone, I was blaming like everything except myself about the fact that I didn't have any data and I had to walk to this store. And it literally hit me as I got to that store. I realized I was so tempted to just like, bro, I had so much rage in me that I wanted to just like hit everything like for no reason. I just wanted to like literally lash out, like literally just right there and then. And then I realized that I can literally control my emotions. When I finally go to the store and I connected to the Wi-Fi, I realized that why am I blaming the world? When I blame the world, nothing's gonna get fixed. If I crash out and I punch a tree, it's not gonna fix my problem. So why don't I just like think about this and think, oh, it's my fault that I don't have any data, how can I solve this? Maybe I can ask my parents for more data, that's one solution. Maybe I cannot use the data when I'm doing other stuff, like, I don't know, just watching videos when I don't need to. Boom, solution found. Instead of blaming the world, not really accomplishing anything. Because there's no point in having this victim mentality where you're just kind of this puppet that is getting controlled by the world that isn't really reality. You're just kind of believing that even though it's not really true. But the second lesson that I'm about to tell you was something that I really felt refreshed in my mind yesterday when I was watching this video from Sam Ovens, this like successful entrepreneur that made this platform called School. I was watching one of his videos on how to beat procrastination, and it reminded me of these two simple things, and it gave me this one new analogy that is really gonna benefit you. It is like, instead of you thinking of like, for example, there's something that is also talked in Atomic Habits. Instead of you thinking like, oh, I need to, for example, for me, it would be like, oh, I need to script 3 videos and I need to record them, then I need to edit them. Like, obviously, when you think it that way, like, for example, that's gonna take me like 9 hours, just on average, it's gonna take me like 9 hours. When you think it that way, you're gonna be like, oh, why would I do it 9 hours? Like, your brain just sees it as pain, so why would you do it? So why don't you think like, oh, I'm just gonna do it for 1 minute and get it started with, script a few letters, just kind of get into the flow of it. then when you're in the flow of it, you realize it's not really that hard. So you just continue doing it. That is something that I really abused a lot. That when I was like not really in my rut, like obviously sometimes some days I would just wake up and I didn't really want to do the work. Then I would use the thing that I would call the 10-minute rule, where I'll just tell myself that I'll work for 10 minutes and then I'll end up working for the whole hour. And this analogy that he gave was it just was kind of mind blowing in a way. He basically said it's almost like when you want to hop into a cold lake, you don't think about just hopping in a cold lake, you just kind of do it. Because the more you think about hopping into a cold lake, the pain, for example, you probably felt it when you wanted to take cold showers. The more you think about the cold shower, the less likely you are to do it, because you think, oh, it's going to be painful. If you think about the pain, you almost visualize and you don't really want to do it. If you literally just think to yourself, oh, I'm going to take a cold shower, and you immediately take a cold shower and you feel like the pain straight away, your mind doesn't really have much time to really convince you not to take it. And it's the same with procrastinating. If you literally just use a 10-minute rule, like just literally telling yourself that you're literally only gonna do one thing for 1 minute, like literally just think to yourself right now, what is like your work right now, and just think about it. What is something that you're procrastinating on? Just start 1 minute of it, and then you realize that it's so much easier from then. Because think about it this way, getting a car from 0 to 20 miles per hour is way harder than getting it from 80 to 100, because it already has momentum. Because maintaining the flow of actually working is way easier than just getting into the flow of working. But there was something during this rut that really shined on me the whole way through, and it helped me get out of this rut. And it was really the reason why I started this channel, why I really know the knowledge that I do at 15 years old. I want to share with you this little quick story. Was that I was once in a call with this guy. I was just giving him some advice on like how to be more productive, how to basically break some of his bad habits. I was just speaking to him for a while, and then near the end he asked me, oh, you have so much knowledge, how old are you, by the way? I tell him, yeah, my name's Matthew Romero and I'm 15 years old. And when I said 15 years old, this guy's face literally lit up, and he was actually just astonished on how much knowledge I knew at such a young age. Because yes, I knew there's a rise of more young entrepreneurs, but it's not like you just walk around everywhere and you meet a young entrepreneur. So he was like kind of shocked. He was telling me how well I articulate myself, knowledge that I gave him. I remember this one day I was in the kitchen just cooking before school, and I decided to put this audiobook, which was the Influence book by Robert Cialdini, whatever his name is. And I was listening to it, and I'm telling you, every single minute there was a gem being dropped, like new knowledge, new studies that I was just getting mind blown. The reciprocity principle, the liking principle, the contrast principles, these tactics that I was learning, that it was telling me like social proof, that tactic, like I was just learning and learning and learning. And I'm not gonna lie to you, these tactics I've used in school so many times to get what I want. For example, reciprocity. I remember this one story. I was in this farm trip for my school. I had this mini lock, right? And my friend knew how to like unlock this lock without knowing the password, because I just found this random lock. So we were trying to figure out the password, and he said, oh, I know how to unlock it. He was like hiding it from me. He didn't really want to show me how to do it. He did it, and then he showed me, oh, I unlocked it. And I asked him, oh, how do you do it? And then he told me, oh, I'm not going to tell you. And I literally told him, oh, before I gave you some of my food, which was basically using that reciprocity, telling him that I gave him something, so he has to kind of give me something back. You know, when you're young and you're literally told, whenever someone gives you something, you say thank you, you have like that reciprocity. It's kind of using that same basic human way of psychology. So when I told him, oh, I gave you food earlier, just tell me, he was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, obviously he didn't think it consciously. He wasn't like, oh yeah, because he gave me food, I need to give him something back. It was almost like subconsciously. So he showed me. And the moral of the story, and the main lesson that I really got out of this rut, was that learning is super valuable. Like, there's literally no habit that can pair up with learning. The reason I was able to get out of this habit, because I learned how to get out of it. I learned what a rut is. I learned how to be productive, how to start a YouTube channel, how to like influence people, how to just, I want to show you something, like how many books I have. I have Atomic Habits, Psycho-Cybernetics, How to Be Friends and Influence People, The Way to the Superior Man. I have quite a few books, and I've watched thousands upon thousands of hours of content, and all these lessons that I've been sharing with you, that I've been just kind of gathering, that have really got me to the person that I am today. For example, I remember I was watching this video from Hamza like a really long time ago, and he was telling him, and he just blatantly said that he copied people to get what he wants. For example, he copied how this confident person spoke to girls, and that's why he was so good at with girls. When I thought about it that way, I remember this was back when I was in year 8. Now I'm 15 years old. This was when I was like around 13 years old. I saw some confident people like telling these jokes to the teacher, to the class, and the whole class laughing. And when I saw that, I thought, what are they doing that I'm not doing? So I decided to start copying them, obviously adding my own little twist with it, obviously not copying them word for word. So I added my own little twist with it, and 1 year later, I was literally that one funny guy in the whole class. And just because I learned that tactic from Hamza, I was able to apply into my life, copy these funny guys who were in the class, and therefore I became one of those people, and therefore I've had such a more fun, like, just social life at school. Because before, I'm not gonna lie to you, in year 7 I used to be this shy, awkward kid, like just basically what all these like self-improvement people tell you, like this shy, awkward kid, no muscle, playing video games, just really basically shy, to being confident, actually loving going to school just because of the social element, not really actually doing stuff, but just basically socializing, having fun, just because I learned. And for example, this video, because I've been learning so much about like seeing opportunities, just about law, about self-improvement, having a lot of like positive mindset about yourself, about business, about other stuff, I thought to myself, oh, why don't I turn this into an opportunity? This was from like a video, like some random video talking about like seeing almost problems as opportunities. I thought, oh wait, I went through a rut, why don't I make a video on the lessons that I learned? Instead of just going through a rut thinking that, oh, I haven't been making videos, whatever, I feel bad about myself, I thought to myself, oh, why don't I make a video about the lessons that I learned? And here I am. And all these mindsets were either amplified or I learned during this rut, which I'm gonna give you a little summary now, which was, you deserve everything that happens in your life. The second one was, simple way to beat procrastination was literally just using the 10-minute rule and just basically doing it instead of like thinking about it, because the more you think about it, the more likely you are to procrastinate, the more likely your brain is to actually convince you not to do it. So use the 1-minute rule. Instead of thinking about, oh, I need to do all of this, you think, oh, I just need to do this tiny thing to get into the flow of working and then continue the flow, instead of just kind of forcing myself to just go face into it. Lastly, is learning is the most powerful habit out there. Literally, when you really think about it, the only difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is just what they know and what they've learned. If that's the truth, then you can literally control your life just by learning, because the knowledge that you have basically just determines your life. If you have really, really good knowledge and you know everything, obviously you're gonna have a pretty good life. You're gonna know how to influence people, how to have fun, how to socialize with people, how to socialize with girls, how to build muscle. You will know everything. So with all of that said, I'm really grateful that you were able to spend this time productively with me. If you did find some value in this video, just scroll down right now and click on that little subscribe button. I know a lot of YouTubers tell you this, but it really does help like the algorithm and all that kind of stuff. And also, if you click that subscribe button, for some reason YouTube like realizes that you like this kind of content, self-improvement, kind of long form, not really high dopamine edit kind of content where you actually gain some knowledge, like the knowledge that I'm giving you right now. If you like this kind of content where you're actually learning and applying things, then you can just hit that subscribe button and YouTube will recommend more of this kind of content to you. Really, it's a win-win for both of us. So with all of that said, good luck and bye.